Hello all, Matador again here filling in for D7 this evening, doing the market wrap-up on the 7th of April 2009. And looks like we found out who won the battle of the market day internals here. The Trin, again, spent a good bit of the day below 1.0, which is rather bullish, but then last 5-10 minutes of the day popped right back up to get more in line with what the Trin Q has been doing all day long. With a few notable spikes up above 2.0 into the 2.6 and 3.0 range briefly. So that's, again, fairly bearish. And the VIX also kind of ran back up. But here's an interesting thing. The VIX actually dropped off. And typically that's a bullish sign. So now we have the trends coming back into line with each other, but the VIX is not corroborating all the volume that's flowing into those stocks that are going down. So again, it's hard to deny that. You can see it happening here. Let's take a look at the S&P 500, then we'll get to the other broad market averages. It's a pretty good volume run up toward the end of the day here. So big gap down, good sized run up here to trying to fill that gap. Made several lower highs and lower lows. I can draw some of these in for you guys right through here. So we'll just go ahead and do a little trend line analysis. This whole thing becomes really sort of a nice symmetrical triangle through here. A bit of a sell-off. I would put resistance in this whole area right here then after that sell-off. We do see that into the declining 200 MA as well. Again, this becomes an area right through here. So those are good areas to watch out for on the way back up. Lots of people get hurt on the sell-off. Even does a 100% retracement of the last run-up plus some. And that plus some means we have a better chance of making a lower swing high. So it's going to take some time to chew out of that, which it did. Had to make a little higher swing low. And then really did a good job trying to work its way out of this before running back up and then knocking its head and selling off fairly dramatically here toward the end of the day on higher volume. So again, keep your eye on the VIX, especially tomorrow morning, to see what's going to happen with that. The Dow, very, very similar picture. Again, more than 100% retracement of that run-up after the sell-off this morning. All right, this is more of a descending triangle now. You can see this slope of that is now a little bit more bearish than the S&P was. Again, these same areas of resistance right through here are in effect, the declining 200 MA. And now we have just a tiny bit of higher swing lows in here until the sell-off toward the end of the day. Again, the Qs, more dramatic than the rest. So in this scenario, we had this trend line coming in here. Same one we saw before, right? But the sell-off then, I would put, again, this resistance on the way back up right through here. And again, these are not an accident. This is where it would hit first. Next would be right there. Very good. And then the 200 MA, whichever one they hit first. And again, this is a little 3-minute chart, but people do pay attention to this stuff intraday especially. So this guy didn't even make it all the way back up to touch the 200 MA or retrace a lot of this. So a little bit more bearish. That's why we saw more weakness in the Trin Q today also, further corroborating the sell-off and the volume supporting that. So kind of cool to do a run around the broad markets. And most of the rest of the stocks also toward the end of the day gave it up. Let's take a look at a daily chart now of the Qs. So this is sort of an interesting thing to note. So here's a daily chart, right? Like I said, more than a 100% retracement of these double top back here. Pretty good to see that. And that's bullish, right? So take a mental snapshot of that and compare that to the S&P 500. So it's stronger on a daily chart than the S&P 500, even though intraday it was weaker. Same with the Dow Jones Industrial Average. That looks very similar to the S&P 500, right? It's almost, you could almost overlay them on top of each other. But the Qs, notably stronger, at least on the daily chart. So kind of neat to see something intraday sell off a little more dramatically because it's had a bigger run up. It could be correcting harder than these two guys. So the S&P not selling off as dramatically, again, because they didn't run up quite as hard. So kind of cool to see things kind of getting back into line. Tomorrow morning especially is going to be very telling with how the broad markets open and how those market internals reflect that. Again, I would suggest looking for relative strength and weakness in a mixed environment like this. It's hard to tell which way it's going to get dragged. When the trend is below 1.0 and the trend Q is in the 2s, it's going to go one way or the other. And I know it sounds like a goofy thing to say. You know, the markets are going to go up, down, or sideways tomorrow, but when they're more in line, you can kind of have a better chance of being on the right side of the market in the direction that you've picked with your individual stocks as well. When it's divergent, and even now with the VIX kind of being out of alignment, I would be a little bit looking at this sideways. So good stuff, everybody. Thanks for your comments. Every day, I think I mentioned I'm going to be doing video responses to questions you post in your comments section underneath each video. So let me know, and I'll get on it. And I'm proud of you guys. So talk to you soon, and thanks again for all your comments.